It's your Locked On Flyers podcast for Wednesday, January 4th. Your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that's excited for the World Junior semifinals, Russ.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Bobby Brink and get to your mailbag questions all on today's show.
Your Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, I am Rachel Donner. You can find me on Twitter at rmiriam. I'm here with the now returned from the Winter Classic, Russ Cohen, who is on Twitter at Sportsology. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Flyers. That's where you'll keep up with our episodes and Flyers news. You can also email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com, and that's how you get your mailbag questions answered, like we are doing today. Locked On Flyers is free and available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, wherever you are listening. Hit that subscribe button. You'll get all of our episodes here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Plus, we're over on YouTube. You can subscribe over there as well. We did get some news yesterday, Russ, from the Flyers. Bobby Brink is now officially off IR and has been loaned to Lehigh Valley. Olle Lycksell was sent back down to Lehigh Valley in the same announcement. We'll get to that. But I do want to talk about Bobby Brink a little bit because, we've been hearing that he's pretty close to returning for a couple weeks now and, getting excited about that. But I want to just talk about expectations for him on the Phantoms. We had our Phantoms Tuesday yesterday and talked a little bit about that team needing to win more. And I think, coming back from surgery and recovery, we don't want to put too much on Bobby Brink's shoulders right now, but I think they could really use a guy like him at the same time.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't put him anything more than the third line to start him off, just so he can kind of, get used to it. Brink can be a good scorer, but he's never been a great skater. And the thing is, we don't know where that's at now post surgery. So that's something where I'm going to be looking for that. I'm not worried about him scoring because at that level he'll be able to score. What I'm worried about is, hey, what does he look like now, and does he have to really ramp up his skating the next 6 months to, try and get to the next level? So that's where I'm at with Brink. But yeah, he can help the team for sure.
Yeah, I think as far as his skating goes, I'm especially interested in his transition game because with that surgery and quick movements in either directions to get back up to speed, I think that'll be kind of your first indicator as to where he is in that recovery.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Also, I hope that he sometimes he puts himself in bad positions, gets himself clobbered a little bit. In the AHL, they don't really care if you're coming back from surgery or not, and if you're a high prospect, sometimes
No.
sometimes you got a target on you. So I hope that he's a little more elusive too, and keeps an eye on that.
Yeah, I think so as well. But definitely looking forward to seeing when they get him in the lineup, hopefully
Yes.
this weekend for their couple of games that they have. Could definitely use them against the Marlies, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, all hands on deck for that.
Yeah. All right. The other bit of news with Olle Lycksell going back down to the Phantoms, is this a roster thing? I just get worried about him like ping ponging back and forth.
I mean, let's be real. He's just not getting a shot. Whatever reason, Torts will put him up there. If he doesn't do anything in a game or two, that's it. He goes back down. It's like, you can't develop him at the NHL level that way. There is some talent there, but he really does need to stay there for a while, and they're just not giving him a chance.
Yeah, I think I could have used a few more games in this stint. And I think, we're going to talk about a couple of the teams we're facing coming up, but I think there's some real opportunity to show how he can do against different kinds of competition. And I think
Yeah.
that's important in evaluation to be able to see.
Yeah, I do too. So hopefully it's just a paper move and he can come back and play, because for me, there's just no reason why he shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, behind the scenes with him and what their thoughts are. Hopefully we get some indication on that soon, and maybe, tomorrow at practice, Torts will say something about it, because they're not practicing today.
Right.
They're just going to go straight to the morning skate on Thursday before the game against Arizona. Speaking of that next game, I think, we have this winter road trip that is now over. And I think to some degree it was successful, especially coming off a 3-game win streak here in California to end it. I think that we really learned, that the Flyers have it in them to play really well and play
Yeah,
a
I mean, I've
tight
been
game of
saying it
hockey.
for most of the season that they have players. People kept acting like, well, they're going to be bad. They don't have anybody. There's no talent. No, there is some talent, and there's enough talent to be able to win some games and help develop some of the younger players. But it had to all be on the same page. So at least on this trip, it was all on the same page, and that really did help.
It does. I look forward to them coming home and, having a crowd behind them to, continue this. And I think that will only help them. One of the things I think they really need to do is keep up this pressure offensively. Take the shots when they get them. Don't get too fancy, but make sure you're playing smart, and, you can enter the zone correctly. So you have, trailers with you, all of those things that they've been doing much better over the road trip. They need to continue that now.
Yeah, I mean, and for the people that want them to have a chance at Connor Bedard, as long as they're one of the 11 worst, they will. It may not be a great percentage, but they'll have a chance. If they're 12 to 17, they're not going to have a chance. Like, that's just the way it is. But they'll probably be one of the 11 worst. So you might as well have them develop at the same time, and then you take your minute chance at getting them.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that they need to do is continue to work on the power play,
Hmm.
because if you look at them overall, it's dreadful, but they have improved a little bit. If you look at, team stats since December 1st, they've moved from like last place or second to last place up to 24th. So I'm not saying that's good. I'm saying it's progress. And they have to continue to figure out a way to get set up faster and then have better puck movement and really make space, like make the other team bite a lot more than they have in order to find those shooting lanes.
Yeah, no question. And utilize Tippett as much as you can. And yeah, I would like to see them continue to take these baby steps and do a little better on the power play.
Yeah, the penalty kill, I think we're in a good spot here, Russ. Again,
They
looking
get
at
plenty of practice.
they do. They have to stay out of the box first, but again, just looking since December 1st, the Flyers are 12th in the league in penalty kill, which is not
That's good.
terrible. That's
No,
pretty
that's
good.
fine.
But if you look at the net stat, which includes shorthanded goals, they're in 6th because they've been scoring all those shorthanded goals.
Right, right. No, and that's good. I mean, that's something that they haven't done in years. So that's a positive. More and more teams are trying to get a little more offensive on the penalty kill. So that is sort of a trend in the league, and it's good that they're able to do that.
Yeah, I think the Flyers are definitely headed in the right direction on that front. I did mention they are playing Arizona on Thursday, but then, we've got the Leafs on Sunday, a very good Buffalo Sabres team Monday in a back-to-back and a
Yeah, that's going
rescheduled
to be
game.
tough.
Yeah, and then a Caps home and home series for the rest of next week. So it is a difficult road ahead.
Yeah, these are all good teams. I mean, the Sabres are scoring more than 4 goals a game. The Leafs have all that talent. The Caps are well in a playoff position, and Ovechkin scoring seemingly every night. So this is where we're going to see where they're at. Like, this is their tester.
Yeah, I hope we see this quality of play that we've seen over the last few games as we move into this stretch, but it will be tough, that's for sure.
Yep. Arizona, based on all the other teams, is the one that you're hoping that they could win. So this way, if they drop a couple of them, you wouldn't feel as bad. But Arizona's no pushover. Like, they actually are pretty good. And Vejmelka can be a pretty good goalie if he's in there. So, Clayton Keller, they've got Chikrin, they have players. So Lawson Krause, we'll see, but it's not going to be easy.
No, we're going to talk more about that game against the Yotes on tomorrow's show. But in the meantime, up next, we are going to preview the 2 semifinal matchups in World Juniors.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to college bowl season, basketball to soccer, esports, and of course the NHL, we've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts like ours, you can find those on BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Make sure you check out the Locked On NHL Prospects podcast. It's a daily show covering the next generation of hockey superstars leading up to the NHL draft. Plus, they've got rankings and top prospects comparisons for every team. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. Russ, 2 very exciting semifinal matchups in World Juniors to keep an eye on today. Teams had a day off leading up to the semifinals. Everybody is out of Moncton and we're back in Halifax.
Mm-hmm.
And the early game is Czechia versus Sweden. We're going to talk about that next. The late game is the marquee matchup. Of course, Team USA versus Canada at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And, this has kind of been a game that people have been projecting for most of the tournament. And, we got it. And I honestly, I think this game is going to be super close.
I'd like to be that optimistic. I don't know if it's going to be super close. It could be close for a couple of periods. It really depends on how the U.S. plays. Like, basically, they're going to have to clean up some of the things they're doing. Their top line plays well. Gauthier has to clean up his zone entries a little bit. Sometimes he's getting in there and just is a little unsure what to do. Snuggerud and Cooley have been great. Maybe Cooley could even step it up a little more. I think there's room for that. Someone like Red Savage, who's been scoring some very good clutch goals, definitely could be a big help in this game because he's on the third line. But, Canada's got guys like Logan Stankoven, who's really hard to deal with. He gets to the net. He's got great hands, and he's on like their second line. Like, they're deep. And so it's going to take a supreme effort. Like, Luke Hughes, as good as he is offensively, defensively, he's had some gaffes in the World Juniors. He's got to clean that up because he's going to be on the ice a lot. So, Luke Hughes, I have to see some more out of. I think Lane Hudson has been coming on as the series has gone on. I'd like to see him be a little bit more of a problem. But listen, Bedard, all you can try and do with Bedard is try and not let him get to the net. He's going to get shots. Let him shoot as far away as he can. And, he still might score, but at least that's probably the best you could hope for with that. Brant Clark's been skating really well for them, too. So that's another guy that they're going to have to sort of keep tabs on and see where he is because, as far as an offensive defenseman goes, he's really gifted. Goaltending, I don't love either goalie for either team. So I think that's an evenly matched situation, and maybe if the U.S. can get to the net a little more, they can get Milic to, make a mistake. That's, the hope.
Yeah, I think the challenge for both goaltenders, Milic for Team Canada and Trey Augustine for Team USA, is that they haven't faced a ton of shots overall
Right.
In the tournament. Milic, I think more so a little bit, especially in their most recent game.
Yeah.
But, they sat Trey Augustine in the third period for Team USA against Germany because the game was well in hand.
Well, it's like, I guess it was like 9-0
or something. Yeah.
8 or 9-0 at that point. Yes. So,
right.
Yeah, Augustine, he's just, he's not as athletic as I'd like, but he does cover a fair amount of net, and that's what you have to hope is a big deal. The U.S. blue line, as you know, is can be more mobile than the
Yeah.
Canadian blue line, but the Canadian blue line has more nuts and bolts guys like Olin Zellweger is really terrific all around, and the U.S. is going to be lacking a little bit in size, so they are really going to have to be really good on getting the puck out of there, the zone and the zone entries and exits rather, and again, Hughes is going to have to like step up, and when he is on the offensive end of things, he can't just sort of shoot from anywhere. Like I know he's been doing that some games, and this is one where you don't want him shooting from very long distance because Canada will block that shot and take it the other way. So I think, like I said, Hughes is really going to have to play his best game.
Yeah, I think another name for Team USA is Ryan Ufko on the blue line. I think he's had a tremendous tournament and is part of that active blue line for Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he's going to have a huge game. And I think, on the Canada side, I just feel like they're weighted a little bit more heavily to the top than Team USA is. I feel like the depth of Team USA is a little stronger, even though the guys at the top on Canada are better than Team USA,
Yeah, like
if that makes sense.
yeah, like Uko is a terrific skater and he's great offensively, but I don't know if they're playing from behind or if it's a close game, how many minutes he's really going to play because that's where Hughes is going to suck up a lot of minutes and Hudson's going to suck up a lot of minutes, and so I don't know what they'll be for him now. If they're playing with a lead, then yeah, he could be a really dangerous guy because he does have slippery moves and he does have great wheels. But yeah, he could be an X factor for sure.
All right, moving over to Czechia versus Sweden in the other semifinal. This is interesting because the only loss that the Czechs had in the group stage was to Sweden. And so this is a little bit of a rematch. And, I just think the Czech team is going to roll right over Sweden in this one. I
I
feel
do
like
too.
they have the momentum shift. I think, they probably have one of the best depth in this tournament. They've got 9 players at a point per game pace.
Yeah, I mean, and Sukanek's been really good. He's
Mhm.
draft eligible. He got skipped over once. He's not going to get skipped over this year. That's for
No, that
sure.
is true.
And Juracek's been jumping into the play and really become that scoring threat that we thought he can be, as well as just playing a really good overall game. I mean, Sweden's got guys. I mean, I like Bystedt a lot, and if he plays on the line with Carlson can he can take over a game. Like there's no question about that. Lycksell has been a disappointment. He doesn't have any points in the
Yeah.
series. He skates well, and he looks like he's going to do something, but he hasn't. Rosen is always going to be a threat to score. He's a guy that you have to look out for, and he might score a game. Lindbaum's been the best goalie, really, other than maybe him or Sukanek. It's one of them. So it could be a goalie matchup, and if it's like that, then I kind of wonder. I think the Czechs can kind of grind it out. That's where I think having someone like Juracek could really be a big factor for them.
Yeah, this has like a 6-2 feeling for me.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be 6-2. I could see maybe 6-4. I like Sandin Pellikka a lot for Sweden, and if they get on the power play, he can really help them on the power play. He's young, so 5-on-5. I don't know if he's really going to do that much, but yeah, I wrote that I thought that Czechia could medal, and I'd really like to see him do it.
Yeah, we talked about them in our preview with Chris Peters that they
Yep.
were a team to watch, and sure enough, they're here in the semifinal. Of course, all 4 teams are, 3 of the 4 teams are guaranteed a medal in the
Somebody's
tournament.
not getting one, Rachel. I'm just letting
Somebody
you know.
is not getting one, yes, of these 4 teams. But it should be a very exciting day at World Juniors. You got a prediction for USA Canada?
Oh boy. I did predict Canada would win this tournament, and I'm going to predict a heartbreaker, like a 5-4 Canada win. But I'm hoping that I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm thinking like that 5 is an empty netter, so maybe it's
Yeah,
5-3 because it was like 4-3 leading up
yeah,
to the end.
Could be. Yeah.
I yeah, I do think that's I do think it's possible that USA can pull this out,
It is.
but my gut says that Canada will win this one. I think that Slovakia game scared them enough that they're just gonna
Yes.
have an extra push in this one because they're not gonna even risk losing to USA.
Yeah, like it gave Bedard an extra gear that we didn't see before, even though he had been scoring like crazy and breaking Eric Lindros's record. But end of the day, he's just a lot, man. He's a lot to handle.
All right. Well, Bedard is a subject of one of our mailbag questions, and
Of
we will
course.
get to those coming up next. All right, we are going to answer some of your mailbag questions. And Walter over on YouTube wanted to know why we would be happy about the Flyers winning 3 games. Of course, it's a reference to wanting to get Bedard
Yeah.
in the lottery. We talked a little bit about that in the first segment, but I think that it's really a developmental thing. We need these
Yes.
younger guys to play well and play with confidence, and they're going to have to win some games in order to do it. Like losing every single game, it is not healthy, nor
No.
is it helpful for anybody. And there are definitely teams in this league that are worse than the Flyers on paper and in practice.
Yeah, there's no question. And the Flyers will lose some players at the deadline, but right now, while they have a full boat, it is helping Morgan Frost. You want that to happen. You want that development to happen. You want the development for Cam York on the power play. These are things that, when JVR is gone, fine, it'll be a little harder for Cam York on the power play. But right now, while he's got guys like that, you want to see some progress. So again, don't be afraid of winning, because you're still going to have a chance at Bedard. It'll just be not much of a chance. But again, having a chance at it is better than no chance. And I still think they'll be in the running for it.
Yeah, and they're still going to get a good player no matter
Oh,
what.
yeah. Yeah.
It's a very deep draft. All right. Susan is back with another really good question. What exactly is, quote, play the right way? Is that like keeping it simple? And she just says, thanks for answering my questions. Go Flyers.
Well, that's, staying above the puck and no, you know what it is. It's basically just playing an honest game. Don't be a cheap shot artist. Don't take shortcuts. Don't take things for granted. Play the hardest you could play on every shift. Be smart. Be a good teammate. It's those kinds of things. That's what coaches like to call the right way. When guys start cheating or trying to take shortcuts, having too many penalties, playing lazy, then that's what they consider not the right way.
Yeah, and staying, for the most part within the structure that has been
Yes.
set forth. I think that's in Torts' world, that's like the most important thing. It's like,
Yes.
are you following through on the assignments that you're given in your role in this line for a forward? As a defenseman, are you covering your man? Are you covering where you're supposed to be?
Yeah.
On
Are you where you're
special
supposed to be
teams?
on the ice is a big deal. Yes.
Yeah. So that is a huge part of playing the right way. And so I think, with John Tortorella, he focuses a lot on that. And, I don't think he's going to complain about goals, right? That if you do something outside the system and score, that's fine. But that's
He
a
might
risk.
complain if somebody gets a Michigan. Nobody's done that
Yeah.
yet. And so I'd be very curious to see what would happen if it happens this year.
All right. Josh wants to know, has Travis Konecny been the biggest surprise of the season?
Yeah, no question. I mean, we weren't sure who was going to, really take to the Torch system. Konechny has, let's face it, he wasn't great last year. We know it, he knows it, and he's been better. Really, this is his best season. So, very happy, very good surprise. Now the trajectory on him is back up. He'll probably get more than the 24 goals that he seemed like he was destined to never get past. Like it always just seemed like that was the line, and now it seems like he can get past that. So, it's all good stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. It's been a surprise, I think, in a lot of ways because of how bad last season was. And
Right.
And, there was a lot of people saying, well, maybe we should trade him and see what we can get if you're doing a proper rebuild, right? We knew in Chuck
Mhm.
Fletcher's world it wasn't going to happen because we weren't doing the full rebuild, right?
Right.
But I think, if he had just been more streaky last season and had a lot more like spurts of good things, we wouldn't have felt that way. And
No.
the way he plays a little bit on the edge, and gets a little physical out there, we thought maybe, that wouldn't match up with what Torts is trying to do. But it has turned out really well. And
Mhm.
I am the happiest person alive that he's having a successful season so far. All right, next question. Do you think in the long run, people will appreciate the Claude Giroux deal more than what was said at the time?
It's gonna be hard. I mean, even if Owen Tippett becomes a 25 goal scorer, Giroux's a point a game right now. Like, he's playing tremendous hockey. Nobody in Flyerland wants to talk about it, but he's playing better than he's played in the last 2-3 years. So I think it's a losing battle no matter what, and I don't think it's fair to tip it. That's really falls on the GM not being able to get a little more. So yeah, I don't think that's ever going to pan out.
Yeah, I think obviously we have to wait and see what this first round pick is or what they do with it if
What they
they're
do with
using
it,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, before we can say so. But I do think that Owen Tippett is, I'm not going to say stellar, but I think he's doing better
Hmm.
than maybe expected. And so it's looking a little brighter right now, but still to be determined, I would
Hmm.
say.
Hmm.
All right, that will do it for the mailbag on today's show. Again, if you have questions, you can tweet us at Locked On Flyers, email us at lockedonflyers@gmail, or comment over on YouTube. Want to wrap things up with our Flyers fun thing. The player of the game award in the locker room for the Flyers this year is a like full on baseball getup. It's a little
Hmm.
complicated, I gotta say, but I still like it. It looks cool, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of pieces and parts to it. But Sam Ersson got that honor at the last game, deservedly so, I would say.
Who's
And
probably
he just
never played baseball, so that's good.
yeah, I know. That's what he just has this like bright smile on his
Yeah,
face,
yeah.
and he just has like a really cool energy. And I love that for the Flyers and for him. So I hope he gets more opportunities.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, even my buddies at Sirius are just learning about Sam Ersson now because he had that road trip, and now all of a sudden he's become a name. So now you have this, and it's good. We're happy for him. We knew he had this ability.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that'll do it for today's show. We'll be back again tomorrow previewing the matchup against Arizona. And World Junior related, we are going to look at Leo Carlson, who has emerged a little bit from the tournament in a way that maybe he's somebody the Flyers should be taking a look at. I'm Rachel. I'm on Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen today. For your next listen, check out Locked On NHL Prospects. It's a daily show covering the next generation of hockey superstars leading up to the draft, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.